Hello, and welcome to my channel. Vice Rhino here, Cirrus over there. How you doing,
Oh,
Cirrus?
everything is wrong. That's agitating. I need to fix that shit.
What?
Nothing is sized correctly now since Zoom, I guess. There we go. There we are. Everything is sized
Zoom
better now.
updated, y'all. There's more
Yeah,
AI bullshit in it now.
I'm so happy. I want to death myself.
Yeah. We were talking about DLSS 5 and how exciting it is to get a photorealistic Hollow Knight game.
No. No, not no. Get out. Just go.
Doesn't everybody want?
Just fucking go.
I thought we all wanted more AI slop.
We want more no, we don't. I'm so dumb.
Fennec says we're both blurry, but my OBS has us crystal clear, so I feel like that's on your end, Fennec.
So it looks like Cirrus's Twitch screen is well ahead of our Roku device.
Oh, Roku. Yeah, there's the hats. We got a Jassa in the chat. I got a break from the hats last week. Jassa missed it. You were at D&D. Come on. Socializing with real people instead of fostering your parasocial relationship with the streamers?
Hey, I have been asked multiple times why I don't go to the card shop for the tournament on Wednesday. And every single time I have to point out it will never happen. It just can't happen. If Rhino calls out sick, that's the only time it happens. Sorry.
And that doesn't happen often.
Nope. When it
No.
does happen, I'm just like, oh, sweet, day off.
It's usually you who cancels, and then I'm like, oh, good.
Oh, you get the introvert thing of, oh, holy shit, they canceled the plans? That means I'm free to do nothing now?
Yeah.
Holy shit, this is fantastic.
I get to sit on my couch and wish I had something to do. Oh, life is fun. I had a mini existential crisis on the weekend.
Again?
Yeah, because so the thing is, I as much as I'm an introverted misanthropist, I have never actually lived on my own except for like, well, no, that doesn't even count because I had kids then. It's like, yeah, I have never actually lived on my own. And my partner was gone with her two kids for a little over a week. And some of my kids, like, well, all of my kids ended up going to sleepovers for the weekend. And so for the first time in years, I had no one else in the house with me for, I think it was 48 hours, something like that. And I just like,
You just didn't know what to do with yourself?
yeah, I had, I had a, I had a funny shaped hole in my heart that only God or sex could fill something. I don't know.
I had a rumbly in my tumbly that only hands could satisfy.
Mm-hmm. Hasn't Rhino private fun time then? Um, yeah, I mean, private fun time.
You mean masturbation?
Yeah, but like
The sin?
that can that can still happen when I don't have 48 hours to myself.
The sin?
Yes, the sin.
No, you cannot. It's the sin. You are not allowed. God will not allow it.
And so you called upon the god of sex. Yes? No, she was in the Caribbean. I told you that. So, yeah.
Jesus.
Fennec is yelling Carl, that kills people, but I don't know who Carl is
Carl!
or what it is
No,
that kills
that
people.
kills people,
So that's a
Carl!
reference then?
Yes, it's llamas with hats.
Okay.
I had a rumbly in my tumbly that only hands could satisfy. Well, I have the good news and the bad news. The good news is everything is fine. The bad news is everybody is dead. They tasted delicious. Oh, well.
So Duct Tape Jake is saying, I love being home alone, everything. So I actually have this weird thing where when I know that I'm going to get the house to myself for a little while, I start out like excited for it. And then as soon as it happens, I'm just like, oh, I miss my fiance.
I miss my wife, Tails. I miss her a lot.
Yeah.
I'll be back.
So then I just end up being sad. I will sit on the couch and sadly read my book. Olivia Williams has a reminder that masturbation isn't in the Bible. Strictly speaking, no, it isn't.
Isn't the whole better for your seed to fall in the belly of of a whore than on the ground? Isn't that?
I don't. I unless you are referencing something other than the story of Onan, because I don't think that that is actually a phrase that is in the Bible. Because I looked for that when I was a teenager and wanted to find out what the Bible said about it.
Uh-huh.
And the whole Onan thing is just that was the ancient Hebrew custom where if your brother died without children, it was then your job to impregnate his widow. And Onan was the story of a man who it was now his job to impregnate his dead brother's widow, but he didn't want to get her pregnant. So when he had sex with her, he would pull out.
Oh, so apparently this is so double checking on this. This is the equivalent of an urban legend for the Bible. This is a thing that has been passed around for years as a real biblical quote that isn't actually in there at all. That's fascinating.
Yeah, it's just like that verse in Pulp Fiction that I don't remember off the top of my head.
Oh, the one that Samuel L. Jackson quotes all the time?
Yeah. That when you actually look it up, that verse does not exist.
As you do.
But yeah, no, the closest the Bible ever comes to saying anything about masturbation is the story of Onan, which wasn't actually masturbation. It was using the pull-out method of birth control. And that is why onanism is sometimes is a word that can be used to refer to masturbation sometimes.
Onanism?
Onanism.
I did my onanism today. I tried to do my onanism and then I found AI generated stuff. And then I found people in the comments section angry that they also stumbled on AI generated porn. And I suddenly felt like the internet was a safer place.
Yeah. No, not Odin the Allfather. Onan the widow fucker. Christians usually interpret the wasted seed as angering God in general. Yeah, that's... Every sperm is sacred. Every sperm is good.
God doesn't want you to waste your seed. Don't make God sad.
Yeah, I don't... how is it a waste? Like, if it doesn't come out, then it just dies inside and gets reabsorbed. So, like, it's wasted either way. So you may as well have some fun while it's being wasted.
Yeah, but remember that the people who were writing the Bible didn't know about basic anatomy yet.
I mean,
Back then it was actually really taboo to actually cut people open at all to learn any of that shit.
yeah, but they're supposed to have a direct connection to the all-powerful, all-knowing creator of the universe.
Oh yeah, no, I am not disagreeing with you
So
on that.
what I'm reading here, some fluffy lint, is that you are advocating for everybody to drink their own semen, lest they waste the nutrients. That's what I got out of your comment. So we know what's in their search history. Or or gurgle.
Or gurgle. Remember, true love gurgles?
Just realized that beating a dead horse means you beat it to death, not that you found a dead horse and started. So I thought that was going to go in a completely different direction.
I mean, given the
Based on
conversation,
yes, based on what we were saying, beating a dead horse is like, oh, how come it's not erect? Oh, it's dead.
Jesus fuck. Where's the cum guzzling Bible verses? In Ezekiel.
Fennec says I need someone to convince the alpha male dude bros to drink their semen. It would be funny. It would be funny, but they already drink their urine, so I don't know that it would be any more funny than it already is.
Man, I remember finding out about that shit for the first time.
The urine drinking thing?
Yeah. It's one of those things that like you could swear that nobody is that fucking dumb. You could swear it, but it's
So
not the case.
that is so the urine drinking thing. Everybody seems to be under the impression that it's fairly new. I remember stumbling upon that sort of thing when I was but a teenager on the internet and thinking, "Oh my god, that's disgusting." Way back then. So like, it's not new.
It's not new, it's just sad.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway,
Man. So what do we have on the docket
let's.
today? What are you
Yeah.
gonna depress me with today?
Well, we're going to start with a bunch of Democratic states are proposing legislation that will ban federal immigration officers from being at the polling locations during elections.
Oh, joy.
So, New Mexico is the first to actually pass the ban,
Mm-hmm.
but there's about 6 other Democratic led states that are considering similar bans. Like, the moves highlight a deep distrust toward the Trump administration from blue states. Yeah, no shit. You think like, have you heard how he talks about them?
You know what's really strange though? Just consider this. If nobody holds any faith in elections anymore, if everybody feels like they're rigged on one side or the other, right? What happens then? Like logically, what happens to a democracy when they do not believe in the democratic process anymore? You get one of two scenarios. You either get the scenario where people are really lazy and just accept that their status quo sucks and then they sit back and do nothing, or you get a lot of violence. Like a lot of violence.
Yeah. Boop. I don't know. I love it when companies do shit to my stream without me knowing about it.
What happened this time?
There was a bot in my chat telling people to go to my grab tap page, which grab tap was a thing that Stream Elements emailed me about, that like something in the email made me curious, so I clicked on a thing to find out what it was. I never did figure out what it was, but apparently my logging in to Twitch through the link in the email or whatever resulted in them installing a bot that would tell people to go to my grab tap page. I think it's one of those
Okay.
things where like everybody can play the same game in the chat or whatever at the same time. It wasn't a weird. I'm making it sound worse than it was. I don't click weird links. It was from an official Stream Elements email thing. It wasn't just random bullshit. I made it sound worse than it is. But yeah, no, I never did figure out what it was. But apparently, it added a bot to my stream.
Fantastic. My favorite.
Yeah. So, fun thing about these laws is that federal law already prohibits the deployment of armed federal forces to election locations unless necessary to repel armed enemies of the United States. Which you can bet your ass that Trump is going to pretend like all the illegal immigrants that are going to be voting, they're going to have guns.
They're all armed enemies of the United States. Don't you understand? Every single person ever who didn't vote specifically for Trump or is brown enough, enemy of the state. And if you don't believe him, then you don't believe God Emperor Trump. And how dare you? How could you?
Yeah, I know. Gotta believe God Emperor Trump.
You
I
have
say
to.
the fear is that the Trump
Ed
administration.
Mill
I'm not even drinking tonight.
could have fooled me.
Me too. I'm gonna watch this back as I'm reviewing the edits and be like, "What the fuck was wrong with me?" The fear is
What
that
did I
the
do?
Trump administration will attempt to evoke a national emergency or My God, I can't talk today. I just can't talk. You carry the stream tonight, sir. You read the articles. I will be here.
I wish I wish the articles were a little less blurry. I'm perfectly fine reading them, but I'm gonna need something other than this. I can't read shit.
Well, okay. I don't know what your setup is like, but like I have this little tiny window over here that shows me what the stream sees, and it is much smaller than what it should be on your end, and I can read it no problem.
Yeah, no, that's not. You have Discord up right now, don't you?
Do I? Does
You
Discord
sent me a Zoom in.
Does
You
Discord
sent me a
make
Zoom
your
invite.
shit go?
That's what I
Why?
see. That is
Why
a
does
direct
it?
screenshot.
It looks like AI generated.
Yes, it looks like AI generated text.
It. Do you have like an AI scale filter going?
No.
That is buck wild. Is
directly
that Zoom?
from Zoom.
Is that Zoom being like, "Hey, you need to read this text. We'll enhance it for you."
Yeah, that is
Good
directly
lord.
from Zoom.
Good lord.
That is the crunchiest text ever.
Okay, so everybody on Cirrus's end, zoom and enhance. So the problem is that they tried to enhance. If they left it alone, he would have been able to read it. Yeah, Kanton saying it's compression of Zoom. No, that was not compression. I know what compression through Zoom looks like. I am very familiar with Zoom compression. That was not compression. That looked like AI bullshit.
Yeah, it's pretty awful. It is very awful. That's why I said, like, I'm perfectly fine reading everything tonight if I could, but I can't read that shit. I quite literally rely on you to read it so I can react to it. Because I can't see shit on this.
Just as enhanced as Oblivion DLSS 5. Oh, Jassus did another hat. Goodbye, bye. Hello, communism. Jassy, you got to say the name of the hat that you want before you redeem the points, because I change my hat and then I read the text and then I read the messages. So
JD Simpson, please turn off DLSS 5. Yep, that'll fix everything. Turn off the DLSS 5.
Oh, that's...
Guys, don't you love when an artist makes a really, really cool character design and then DLSS 5 goes, did you want to see the Yos filter?
Would we call that a Yos filter? I call it a nah filter.
That's the Yas filter.
Host
Everything
tools.
just looks Yosified.
Sorry, I'm just poking around in Zoom to see if I can turn off that fucking AI bullshit. But
so this is the reason why the later seasons of CSI and NCIS suck even more. Enhance does nothing. Enhance! Enhance more! You mean Photoshop? Give me a minute. I can parse shit in Photoshop.
The most ridiculous zoom and enhance that I remember from a CSI type show was when they zoomed in to a reflection. So they looked at a guy was standing in front of a mirror and he was wearing sunglasses. Mm-hmm. And so they zoomed in to the reflection on his sunglasses being reflected in the mirror and then enhanced that and saw someone's face clear as day. Just like that's some next level bullshit right there. Those pixels do not exist.
Jesus fuck.
And my favorite hacking scene though will forever be what fucking show was it? I forget what show it was, but someone was hacking into their system, and so the guy started doing the crazy typing thing to try and stop them from hacking into the system. And then he was like, "Oh, they're too good, they're too fast, or whatever. I need your help." And then someone else came over and started typing on the same keyboard next to him. And it was just
That's not how hacking
that.
works.
Even if it were how hacking works, that's not how typing works. You have to know how to type. You wrote the script.
Having another person on the keyboard as you type is not going to speed up the typing. It is, in
No,
fact, going to make
no.
things far worse.
Were you around for the era of two-player video games where you'd use the same keyboard, but someone would be on WASD and the other
And the
person would
other
be on
person
the
was
arrow
on
keys?
arrows?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, that was always awkward as fuck. So even when
Yeah.
you have your own dedicated keys, two people on one keyboard is awkward and fuck you. Apparently that was NCIS.
How about the movie Hackers, where the computer system was visualized as towers?
Or
Uh,
Jurassic Park. It's a Unix system.
I Man, what was it in Yu-Gi-Oh? I think the hacking thing in Yu-Gi-Oh was that it looked like a fucking Wolfenstein game where you were just navigating the corridors.
Oh, someone is okay. So Doom gets ported to everything. So like there have been
Yep.
people that have played Doom on refrigerators. Someone needs to it's probably already been done. Someone needs to insert Doom into one of those video game hacking games.
In
Where's-
order to in order to break through the mainframe,
You need to beat this level of Doom.
I need to beat World 5 level 2 of Doom.
Exactly.
Nobody's done it before.
Exactly. All hacking minigames are replaced with various Doom levels.
Insert Doom into Vice Rhino's dildo. That's a nice magic wand you have there, but can it play Doom?
Well, it doesn't have a screen, so that would be difficult. And I don't have any of the ones that you can do like over the internet.
Alexa, play Skyrim.
Skyrim job.
It's still weird to me that the Alexa play Skyrim thing works.
Oh, that's an actual thing.
Yes.
Okay. I am disappointed in humanity. Anyway, yeah, there's going to be you can basically count on Trump trying to get ICE agents to polling locations by the fact that they've denied that ICE agents will be at polling locations.
We won't put ICE agents at polling locations, but we're going to put agents there that are democracy agents or some shit.
Yeah. Yeah. We have next up. This was sent to me by my anonymous source. Did you hear that the U.S. kind of invaded Ecuador?
We invaded more shit? Why?
Yeah, this was a little while ago, actually. Well, this news article isn't, but the Ecuador thing happened a little while ago, as I remember my partner telling me about it, but I hadn't been hearing any news about it, and I was like, okay, well, maybe she just picked it up on social media and it was just somebody making shit up. But no, it was a real thing. They low-key invaded another country while they were at war with Iran. Olivia Williams says, imagine a hacking scene done realistically as the guy calls pretending to be some customer support and asks for the username and password. Yeah, that's how it usually works.
That's why, most people who can do things like bust into mainframes, most of the time, it's usually some dumb shit, like they left a USB lying somewhere and somebody plugged it into a computer they weren't supposed to.
I'm rather a fan of Kip Boga's thing where he will direct them to a website of some kind and trick them into granting access to the webcam.
Yep.
And there was one recently where a scammer had gotten away with over $10,000 from some little old lady who it was one of those like pretend to be someone famous and trick them into romance scams.
Mm-hmm.
And the scammer did not know that the lady that he was scamming had died, so they used that to trap him and be like, oh, well, to accept this next Bitcoin transfer, you need to upload your government ID. So he just did.
Okay.
I liked it because he wanted the Bitcoin.
Give me your government issued ID so I can get you access to this Bitcoin wallet.
Mm-hmm.
None of this seems sketchy to you?
Yeah. But yeah, anyway, Ecuador. So it's not so much an invasion as the American military was engaged in operations. Sorry, Southcom announced that Ecuadorian and U.S. military forces launched operations against designated terrorist organizations in Ecuador. Now, apparently Justice saw that video. That was CoffeeZilla, and the dude was from Nigeria. But yeah, so U.S. military forces in Ecuador doing boots on the ground stuff with Ecuadorian troops against organizations that have been designated terrorist organizations by the Ecuadorian government. Key piece of information here is that the Ecuadorian government is currently doing a lot of the same shit that Trump is doing, where they've declared a state of emergency so that the president can do whatever the fuck he wants. They've been having the
Isn't that
military
the
in the
same
streets.
thing that Alex Jones kept on yelling for years that fucking Obama was gonna do? Mostly because he, like most other people, watched Star Wars.
I'm confused as to how Star Wars comes into this, but
Because
sure.
that's what Palpatine did. Declared state of emergency so he could use emergency powers.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
And then they kept saying that Obama was gonna do that as he enacted the FEMA camps and shit.
Do you remember back in the day, like the 1990s, when like the X Files was like, there's this, the president is keeping all of the alien stuff secret because they're planning on using FEMA to control the world, blah blah blah.
Yep. Yep, yep,
It's
yep.
like, yeah, now we know that that's just like, no, nobody is fucking competent enough for any of that bullshit. Mr. Plowking says, "Me have job, you get money." Thank you for that, Mr. Plowking. I appreciate. And it was $6.66. But yeah, no, one of the things that kind of made me it made me chuckle, but like not a happy chuckle, like a despondent chuckle.
Chuckle in the way that now you're sad.
Yeah, so let me. Oh yeah, they're also allowing military personnel, like they're reopening American military bases, which is against Ecuadorian law.
Mm,
They are shielding American troops from local laws and prosecution. They're allowing U.S. military
fantastic.
ships in the Galapagos.
I don't know what a Galapagos is.
The Galapagos Islands?
Yeah, no, never heard that word.
You're shitting me, right?
No, I'm not shitting you.
You don't know what the Galapagos Islands are.
Nope.
It's where Darwin found the finches.
Doesn't mean that I remember the name of the island. My
There,
memory
there,
is
there are
not
aquatic
great.
iguanas there.
Yeah, my memory ain't great.
That's some bullshit right there. My
I,
memory ain't
I,
great either, but I know the fucking Galapagos. You have an atheist YouTube channel. You have to
yep,
know about the Galapagos Islands.
nope. So if you say the island where Darwin found the finches, my brain immediately goes, "Oh yeah, no, I know about that." But when you say the Galapagos Islands, my brain goes, "Yeah, I have no idea what the fuck
They've
that
got
is."
giant tortoises there.
Again, doesn't mean
They're
I remember
and
specifically what it is.
and it's actually funny that this comes up now because my partner and I were actually talking about how they actually super duper restrict tourism there because it is very environmentally delicate.
Uh-huh.
And I have been like I would love to go to those islands and wander around a little, but it's never going to happen because they are so restricted on it. But now they're just letting U.S. military ships plow through, and I'm concerned about their future.
I love this timeline. This timeline is fantastic. Everything about it, all parts and pieces, all wonderful. Nothing ever goes wrong, ever. Everything's perfect.
Yeah.
So don't forget, Cyrus was educated at Pensacola Christian Academy. Yeah, but I've received better education since becoming an adult autodidactically. My problem is there are certain things my memory just does not function for. And I wish I knew why, but it's just shit that I get to deal with.
Okay, here we go. So this escalation risks making the United States complicit in the human rights abuses of a government that is steadily dismantling its own country's democracy, including by suspending the nation's largest opposition party. When I read that sentence, I was like, I got 3/4 of the way through it before I realized that, they're talking about the Ecuadorian government, not the American government.
Yeah, we kind of shit on our own democracy pretty hard.
Because like they say, since his election in 2023, President Daniel Noboa, whose militarized approach to law enforcement has failed to stem soaring rates of violent crime, has sought to strengthen bilateral security ties with the United States. He's been ruling, he declared, for more than 2 years, he's been governing through a permanent state of emergency, deploying the military to the streets and suspending certain rights. Who else do we know that's been doing that? Trump declared an emergency on day 1.
Yay.
And he's been sending the military to the streets and suspending people's rights.
Ever since.
Did you see there was a Democrat was posting some of the demands that they're making to fund the DHS again, and one of the demands is that they stop deporting U.S. citizens. And so it's like that shouldn't
shouldn't be a thing you have to demand.
That's not a demand. That is that's the baseline. That's where you should start from.
Yeah, that should be a no duh more than anything.
But like they're treating it as though that is a concession that the Republicans will grant us. It's like, no, that's not a concession. That's a non-negotiable.
And yet, that is not how most Republicans are going to see it.
No. Well, I mean, they're right from the beginning. Trump has been talking about deporting American citizens. So is it any surprise that American citizens are being deported? And it's actually not deportation when it's a citizen. It's rendering? Although even with some of the non-citizens, it still counts as rendering because they're not sending them to a country that they are from. They're just sending them somewhere else. Because hey, that internment camp that Kilmar Abrego Garcia was in, that's still operating. CCOT?
Mm-hmm.
They still got Americans there.
Doesn't that just make you feel all warm and fuzzy inside? Don't you love the entire system working as intended? I'm so happy to live in America.
By whose intentions is the question.
Yeah, that's most of the problem. Is that well, okay, so I am an advocate of the phrase, the purpose of a system is what it does. And we have a system that repeatedly rewards people who have money and power and does not actually empower people to do better or be better. We have a system that repeatedly makes sure that if you have money and influence, you are immune to certain aspects of the law. But if you're a regular Joe Schmo, you get to get an attorney that is assigned to you by the state that in 99% of circumstances is not going to be able to help you for shit.
Yeah, and that's not to shit on public defenders, because in most cases, the public defender is someone who it's an attorney who has the heart of gold that really wants to help people and like honestly wants to do everything they can to make sure that actual justice happens, but they can't because they don't have the resources. And like you said, they've got too many cases. They're overworked.
Yeah, it's very hard to do the best you possibly can do by your clients if you don't have the energy to get up in the morning and provide them those services in the first place.
Okay.
And most public defenders are completely fucking spent by the time they wake up.
As someone who knows a little bit of French, and it didn't occur to me that I just poured myself some water, I saw this, And I was like, pour qui était?
Poor
Like,
kids.
I'm like, I don't know what that means. I know what pour means. I don't know what qui était means. So I was about to ask about the French. But
Never ask about the French.
yeah. No. Then I realized that I was doing water. I was making water.
You were doing water?
No, I have. So we have too many kids, so I got an actual like full size water cooler out in the kitchen. So I stole the Brita and put it in my office because I drink more water when there's more water just sitting right in front of me.
Makes sense. You can be more healthier when you have the thing in front of you that incentivizes it.
Mm-hmm. Well, we're moving on to a somewhat good news story. Good news for now story.
Good news for now? I'll take good news for now. That sounds better than most other situations
Yeah, so
that
good
we've
news.
gotten.
Good news for now is that judge permanently blocks Ten Commandments displays at several Arkansas school districts.
Yay! Michael
The
Knowles
reason
will be upset about that, but yay!
your who will be?
Michael Knowles will be upset
Michael
about
Knowles.
that, but yay!
Well, yeah, of course you will. But yeah, the reason this is good news for now is because they're going to appeal it, and it's probably going to end up in front of the Supreme Court.
And it's Trump's Supreme Court.
Yeah. Although, okay, Rhino Rapscallion, thank you for the hat. Did you see the headline from John Roberts going around where he's like, oh guys, you got to stop like attacking judges. Like it's okay to like disagree with a ruling, but the personal attacks against judges just got to stop. I don't know what's going. I'm just sitting there like,
why should the personal attack stop?
I'm
Do I have
so,
to consider their feelings? What?
The funny thing about that is that no, it wasn't about feelings. It's about keeping the public's faith in the institution.
I don't have to give a shit about that. If the institution's failing people, the public shouldn't have faith in it.
I saw the headline. My first thought was the guy in the hot dog suit with the hot dog car crashing into him. Like, we're all looking for who's responsible for this. But what's funny is that like everybody was reacting to the headline as though he was talking about left-wing people criticizing Trump judges. But when you read the article, he was actually talking about Trump attacking the judges that he appointed, that he seems to think need to vote for the things that he wants because he appointed them. It's like, hey, you know what? We could probably do something about that if you hadn't ruled that he's immune from everything.
If you hadn't fucked everything up for all of us.
But yeah, we're not covering that story tonight, but that's the Supreme Court that's going to be ruling on this eventually. So let's just enjoy the good news while it lasts. So judge ruled on Monday to permanently bar several school districts from following Arkansas's law to display the Ten Commandments in public school classrooms, saying that the law violates the Establishment Clause and the free exercise rights of the plaintiffs, which it does. It's very cut and dried.
Mm-hmm.
They say the purpose is only to display a sacred religious text in a prominent place in every public school classroom, and the only reason to display a sacred religious text in every classroom is to proselytize to children. The state has said the quiet part out loud, the judge wrote. So now it is a matter of judicial record that they're saying the quiet part out loud. That does make me giggle a little.
The entire point, no matter what, it's not just to be like, oh no, our country was founded on this, so it's important that it's here. No, it's because you believe that everybody should follow this religion. That is just what it is. You believe this is okay because you believe this is the religion everybody should be following, no matter what. No matter what the history of the families of those kids are, no matter what the history of people in the classroom are, no matter what the denomination of even Christians they are, because the Ten Commandments are not consistent amongst denominations.
It's not even consistent how many there are. Like if you actually read the Ten Commandments and try to figure out how. So first off, the only Ten Commandments that are actually called the Ten Commandments by the text of the Bible itself are the ones in Exodus 34, and those are the ones that have fun things. Covenant. Yeah, those are the ones that have the fun things like don't boil a baby goat in its mother's milk and celebrate the Feast of Weeks and shit like that. Now, in either version of the Ten Commandments, it is not clear from the text where they're actually supposed to be broken up into different commandments. So depending on how you break them up, you can get different numbers of commandments for the Ten Commandments. Like the Exodus 34 ones, I counted 13. Now, I'm not suggesting that the people who wrote the original texts didn't know how to count to 10. But I feel like the perfect word of God would be a little bit more clear on where the dividing lines are between the different commandments.
You would think so.
Also, the ones in Exodus 20 explicitly condone slavery. You are not supposed to want your neighbor's possessions, which include his wife or his slaves. Doesn't say thou shalt not own slaves. It says thou shalt not want your neighbor's slaves.
And I mean, in the Bible, it treats fucking rape as a property crime. So there's nothing inconsistent or confusing there.
Yeah. And I love the defense for that one is that like, oh yeah, but no, and this it's all about it is about consent because it's not actually rape. Because like here's the one where they like if they were in a city, that's when it's rape because she could have cried out for help. But if it's in the field, then it was actually rape and she doesn't get punished. And it's like, okay, so nobody in a city has ever thought to say, if you scream, I'll kill you.
Nobody in a city has ever thought of using a gag.
Rhino Rapscallion for a highlight my message says, realistically, how much do they actually think this will do? Religion actively being shoved down my throat only pushed me away. I remember getting into an argument with my high school teacher about the pledge and questioning the "In God We Trust" on our money.
So, okay. Yes, it can push a lot of people away. I agree with that. That's on a micro scale, though. On a macro scale, forcing that normalization means that even if on a micro scale you get people who individually move away from religion, you still get the cultural norms of that religion enforcing things. I guarantee you, most of the people like Michael Knowles, Ben Shapiro, Matt Walsh, they don't really care so much if you believe in Christ in your heart of hearts. They care that the cultural norms that they want established or they want perpetuated.
I think Ben
continue.
Shapiro really wants you to believe in Christ.
I mean, that's the reason why. That is the reason why I'm saying that I don't think they give a shit if you believe in Christ, because you get people like Dennis Prager saying Judeo-Christian values specifically so that they can have Ben Shapiro wrapped in there. They don't give a shit if you...
So they can have Dennis Prager wrapped in there.
Like, they don't give a shit if you're personally a Christian. They give a shit if society at large is culturally Christian, and that they get to define what culturally Christian means.
I did notice that they were really quick to drop the Judeo part of the Judeo-Christian values when it was a group of Jewish people who were suing for abortion rights. Because as it turns out, in most sects of Judaism, abortion is allowed. Like they do have restrictions on them, but like it's allowed when it's necessary for the health of the mother, and most of them include mental health as part of the health of the mother. So like if having a baby is going to cause me mental distress, that is a legitimate reason to have an abortion for the people that belong to that sect of Judaism. So suddenly those values weren't so Judeo anymore. It was just Christian.
But Ben Shapiro is still going to be anti-abortion regardless, in as many circumstances as he possibly can.
Yeah.
Because again, the point is not to be consistent to the religion. The point is not to create adherence to the religion. The point is to keep the culture dominated by the ideas of the religion. If they can have that, they don't give a shit if you individually are a Christian. That's not the goal. The goal is that the social contract you sign by being born into our society puts restrictions on you that they get to influence. That's the goal.
Yeah.
As far as I'm concerned. I could be wrong, but I don't think I am.
I could be wrong, and I do think I am.
Yay! Alpha Mario says Dennis pregnant.
Dennis M.
Remember,
Dennis M. Prager.
Remember, artists, anytime somebody upsets you, remember, you have the power to draw them pregnant.
Oh, good lord. So today's decision, says the judge, will ensure that our clients' classrooms will remain spaces. No, sorry, this is the ACLU statement. The classrooms will remain spaces where all students, regardless of their faith, feel welcomed and can learn without worrying that they do not live up to the state's preferred religious beliefs. In practice, I don't think that's actually going to be the case, but that's an admirable goal. It is a step in that direction. And Rhino Rapscallion says that makes sense, thank you. And I have ADHD, so I don't remember what the first thing that we were actually talking about was. So I'm glad we made sense.
Yay. You know what the worst thing is, though? Okay, so this is a problem I have a lot when streaming. When you start a sentence and halfway through the sentence, you completely forget what point you were trying to make with the sentence. So now you just trail off and you have no idea how to conclude.
That's why I do scripted videos. What actually really bothers me most when I'm reviewing the stream edits that I get back from Piper is there's so many times when you will say something and I was very clearly, I was spaced out for some reason. Like either I'm reading the chat or I'm reading the article or something and I didn't quite hear what you said and I respond as if you said something else. And that happens all the goddamn time and I hate it.
Yeah. Look, both of us have bad attention spans, and yet we run a show together. And to say it works would be a very generous statement, but it does function sometimes.
Yeah. Oh, Rhino Rapscallion's redeeming a hydrate. Thank you for that. Yeah. Anyway,
Sean says that's why we're here, to make sure you have your to make sure you guys have your bad attention spans. Wait, that's why you're here, to make sure that our attention spans are bad, but
they're here to distract us.
Yeah, our attention spans are already bad without the help. What?
So they're here to exacerbate it.
No. Please. Match with Rhino. Okay, let me get a drink.
Mash with Rhino.
It was a hydrate.
Oh. We did the mash. We did the monster mash. The monster mash. It was a graveyard smash. It caught on in a flash. Did the mash. Ba-woo. Ba-woo.
I wonder how long this is going to go.
Until you start talking again.
Oh, okay. See, I literally was singing along at first because I'm just like, nope, yep, I like the Monster Mash. I'm okay with that.
I was under the impression that you were drinking or something, so I was waiting for you to do that, and like,
I take that long to drink. I take a sip and then I'm done.
I will sing the Monster Mash to distract people while I wait for Cirrus to be done drinking.
Oh, okay, I see.
Okay.
I understand.
So now we want to talk about Peter Thiel wanting to end the world?
Peter
Thiel wants to end the world!
Yay!
This was sent to me by Alex, who I think is progress only.
That's Alex.
Eventually I will remember that for sure and won't have to caveat it by saying I think that's them. So yeah, Peter Thiel is having a conference in Rome. So this is on Reuters. I don't know why they are focused so much on how much attention the church is paying to it, as opposed to just like the contents of what he's talking about himself. Because like there's a whole like, oh, this bishop said that, and this conference of bishops said that, and this cardinal released a statement that said blah. And like, I don't fucking care. I am more concerned about the billionaire who owns all of our data, who is up there talking about how the world is about to end, and that's actually a goal of his sect of Christianity. Like that is concerning to me. I don't care what the Catholic Church says. I don't care what the rape cabal says about it.
Yeah, I'm more concerned with the fact that the dude who has the money to enact that plan is enacting that plan. That part is a little more spooky to me. I'd like a little more focus on that one
Yeah.
because I don't feel like that should be the case. I don't feel like we should have people who have a fuck ton of power, money, and influence, and have access to every single one of our records, and it's like even weird like personal shit because there are people who use Chat GPT as a fucking therapist. So it's got access to all kinds of like
So
weirdly personal information.
I saw a video of a lady who she was basically making fun of Christian TikToks and stuff. And at the end, she stumbled upon this app that is a Christian companion AI thing. And it's like you constantly have a lamb companion, and it is very obviously like they've ripped off the Cult of the Lamb art style, but it's just a chatbot that's told to be like super Christian about everything. And it was fucking creepy.
Seth Andrews has entered the chat with his video about how Christianity makes all media worse again.
Sure.
It was a talk that he gave about
Yeah,
uh
but I'm disappointed now because I got a little bit excited when I heard Seth Andrews has entered the chat, and then I
oh,
realized you were
no, I'm
just saying
using
the
this.
thing.
Yeah, I'm just saying the thing. Sorry.
It's like, what? Seth Andrews watches our show? Oh, I got him to record a line for me once. So you know how Matt Powell has that line where he says, "I don't see anything wrong with quote mining."
Yeah.
Yeah, so he said in I think it was the video that he did with the Raging Atheist. At one point, he said, "We are all made in the image of God, and that's why a lot of these school shootings happen." And like, he
Okay.
he paused at just the right spot where it was like, I know that's not what he's actually saying, but he's on record being okay with quote mining. So I'm going to have Seth Andrews read that for me. So I did, and I had him read it in a dramatic voice while I put some scary music behind it and had the text popping up and everything. It was like, yep,
That's great.
that's a Matt Powell quote. So we are made in the image of God. That is why school shootings happen.
Fantastic. If he's okay with quote mining, then he has to be okay with that.
Yeah, that's that was my thinking. I did get people being like, "Oh, if you use their tactics against them, then you're no better than them." It was like,
No, I'm
no,
sorry,
not
but
for that.
I'm also gonna be that guy because I've said this in multiple videos before, and I'll say it again. If you for some reason believe that you taking the high road and never using any of the shitty tactics of your enemies gives you some kind of advantage on a battlefield, then you don't know a whole lot about warfare. I'm sorry. There are certain things that I do not think we should do, like deliberate misinformation, mostly on a moral standpoint. But I also think that we should be able to use a very, very high amount of the weapons of our enemies.
So I agree with you, but in the specific instance of the quote that I was mining, I was making it very obvious that that is not what Matt actually intended. I just thought it was a funny thing, and since he's okay with quote mining, I'm doing that.
Hmm.
So like, it's not even like to actually quote mine it would be for me to say, "Hey, did you know Matt Powell said that because we're made in the image of God, that's why school shootings happen," and not clarifying that that was out of context.
Yeah.
But like, it was in the video where it was like, "Oh, well, he's on record being okay with quote mining," and then I played the clip of him being okay with it, and then I said, then I'm like, "So I had Seth Andrews do this for me," and I played it. So like, it's very obvious that that's like, if you actually watch my video and don't quote mine what I'm saying, then I'm actually not quote mining.
That's not confusing at all.
It's not.
No, not at all. Not even a little bit.
Anyway, so this was a closed door lecture that he gave to a bunch of people in
Oh,
Rome.
give me just a second. I heard something weird. I need to check on it.
Can I help you? You need your your essence. So Heidi has gotten into what's it called? Sun catchers. She's making sun catchers. And right now she's working on one that is, what's it called? What's the name of that show I made you watch? Dark Crystal. That's the one. She's doing a Dark Crystal themed one. And so there's a crystal that is the right shape for the Dark Crystal that's like half purple and half white. So it's like, it's white when it's not broken and it's purple when it is broken sort of thing. And she's got like this steampunk bird skull thing that the gears that are on it look kind of like the glasses on the one Skeksis that has too many glasses. And she's also got like a little vial that she's going to paint to look like the essence. So she was in here like, I need my essence. So, yeah, our house is full of sun catchers. I think I told you about that. I've still got the hat up there that I don't use as a hat anymore. But
I went ahead and used the opportunity to also use the restroom, but here we are.
I kind of figured something like that was happening. Yeah, you missed me talking about Heidi is making sun catchers, and she's doing a Dark Crystal themed sun catcher right now.
Neat.
You don't sound interested at all. So you know what? I'm glad you missed it then.
Something crystals?
Dark Crystal. You know the movie?
Oh, right.
With
the
the
movie Dark
Skeksis
Crystal. Brain.
and the Gelflings and all that.
I still need to see that movie.
Have you seen the show?
No.
Okay. If you ever decide to watch both of them, just disconnect them from each other in your brain. Because they don't really... Well, the show ends like 50 years before the movie begins. And apparently they were supposed to get a second season, but they never did. So it also kind of ends on a cliffhanger. So like when I watched it, I didn't know any of that. So I watched the show and then I watched the movie and I was like, where the fuck did all the Gelfling go? Who the fuck are these people? Why are there different... Like, it made no sense to me. And it didn't, like, from a plot standpoint, the plot holes weren't, like, completely irreconcilably terrible, but there was... It did kind of have a sense of, like, whoever wrote the show was not, like, a big fan of the movie.
That's
like they were just
never a good sign.
Like they were using the aesthetic, and like I'm gonna say the show was good, the movie was good. Consider them two separate properties.
Gotcha.
So okay, so back to Peter Thiel.
Yay, he wants to end the world. I mean, I'm not super thrilled with the state of it either, but like, I don't think...
What's funny here is that Peter Thiel is a Trump supporter, but apparently when he's talking about the Antichrist, he talks about how this guy is going to create a one-world government on the promise of something like stopping nuclear, AI, or climate-induced disaster. Has he paid attention to what Trump is doing? Because, like... He went into Iran to stop the nuclear disaster, even though there wasn't one.
Yeah.
He's going into all these South American countries to stop the drug disaster, and he's getting like we just talked about the Ecuador one. Part of that was that I don't think I mentioned it during the actual news thing. I probably should have, but part of that is that the current Ecuadorian government is basically doing whatever Trump wants them to. So he's basically running them as puppet governments. So I don't know. Like, I don't believe in this Antichrist stuff, but if I did, Trump is ticking the boxes that this guy says that the Antichrist is going to tick.
He's doing all of the things. He's doing everything we would be expecting of them.
Yeah. And he also mentions that like he grew up as an evangelical Christian, which if you watch my video on Zionism, evangelical Christianity and Christian Zionism are inextricably linked and have been since like the 1970s, at least. So, yeah, the fact that, and it's the Christian Zionist belief is that when when the Jewish people take over the Holy Land again, the entire Holy Land, they will all convert to Christianity, and then Jesus will return and usher in a 1,000-year reign of glory before destroying everybody in the lake of fire or letting them into heaven.
But they won't be converting to Christianity. Why would they? They succeeded under their own religion and under their own volition. What reason do they have to convert?
I think the idea is that Jesus will return, and at the return they will convert, and because they are the chosen people, they're the only ones that are allowed to convert when they see the evidence for themselves instead of believing on faith.
Do they not see anything weird about that, though? Like, it's really weird to go, hey, because you were
I didn't
this
say it.
particular race of people,
I didn't say it made sense.
you are exempt from hellfire in this specific scenario because you had the privilege to be born with a particular amount of melanin in your skin. Fantastic. That's definitely not racist. Not at all.
Yeah, no, I've always thought it was weird that God had a favorite race of people. Like, even when I was a
Oh,
Christian, I didn't really understand how there was a chosen people. Like, didn't he make all the people? Why is he choosing one over the others?
Jesus loves the little children, but he loves those ones a little bit more than the
Yeah,
others.
and like the answers were never really satisfying because the answers were always something along the lines of like, oh well, because they are the ones that are most devoted to him and everything. Like, have you read the Old Testament? Half that book is about them disobeying him and being punished by him.
Yeah, they're the problematic children that are constantly doing shit that dad says not to do.
Yeah.
In fact, there's a whole bit where Moses is like pleading with God, saying like, "Hey, to save all of my
Hey,
people, can I give up my own salvation, please? Because they keep fucking up, and I don't see how they're gonna
okay.
stop. They're gonna
We're
unfuck."
thinking of different instances. I was thinking of right after the Ten Commandments when God was like, hey, they're doing this calf worship thing, which, by the way, if you actually read the story, the Israelites had not met God yet. They just saw a pillar of flame in front of them at night and a pillar of cloud during the day. They didn't have any direct interactions with this God character. And then the only guy that was speaking for God disappeared for more than a month. And they were down there like, what do we do? Like, clearly a god of some kind saved us from slavery. We have to do something to thank this god. And so that was why they made the calf. It was because we don't know who this god is, so we're making this calf to represent the God that saved us from Israel. So they were actually trying to give thanks to the appropriate God. They just didn't know that he had a hang up about idols.
Because he was really bad at communicating who he was in the
And
first
then
place.
and then God was like, bullshit, these guys made an idol. I'm going to kill all of them. And Moses had to talk him down from his genocide and be like, hey, people, like, what would, basically he used a what would the neighbors
What,
think
what
argument.
would Jesus do?
No, he used a what would the neighbors think argument. He's like, what would people say if they saw that you brought your people, your favorite race of people, you saved them from slavery, and then you killed them all in the desert? What would people say about you then? And then God was like, okay, I'll only kill 3,000 of them.
The fact that God even would have that conversation when he's an all-knowing God and would therefore know every single rebuttal that possibly could come from Moses's mouth, ignoring the fact that free will also couldn't exist in this scenario.
It's such a weird story when you actually think about it and how it would play with the implications of the God that modern Christians believe in if that was the same being. Like, it's just it's bonkers. It's completely bonkers.
They must be punished for breaking the commandments they didn't know about. Well, ignorance of the law
Is no excuse.
is no
Did your
excuse.
mother say that to you as well when you said that the thing
Yep.
I did that was against the rules? I didn't know was against the rules?
Yep.
Because I got that as well.
Ignorance of the law is no excuse for not obeying the law. Man, I remember as an adult hearing the even having the conversations with my mom about like things are moral because they're legal, and I'm just like, so slavery. Like the most basic one I possibly could throw at you. Not to be the guy that's like, I owned my mom in a debate, but it's it is one of those things where you realize as you get older that the people who you looked up to growing up are just as flawed as you.
Yeah. Yeah, no, my kids are gonna realize that about me at some point. Oh, one my middle child beat me at Mario Kart legitimately the other day. Like actually beat me, not I was going easy. Like I was trying.
How could you let him do that?
Well, so the thing that the excuse that's going through my head is that there were a number of factors. First off, I basically haven't played Mario Kart since we moved into this house, so it's been more than a year that I'm out of practice. And even before that, I wasn't playing it regularly at that point. So I've been out of
Uh-huh.
practice. On top of that, apparently I stopped playing while they were in the middle of like dropping all the like classic tracks or whatever. And so the track that he beat me on was one that I have never played before. So the combination of me being out of practice, me never having played that track before, and him playing the shit out of it for the last several months
Yeah,
means
there's a
that
variety of factors there, but that's
yeah.
still no excuse.
Oh yeah, no, I I'm not,
Suck less.
and I'm not a jerk. I wasn't all like, oh no, yeah, I'm still better than you. But I also put I put the computer on hard,
Hmm.
just like because I know that they play against it on normal or easy. Like if they're playing with the little kids, they play with it on easy, but they play with it on normal normally. So I was like, okay, well maybe if it's on hard, it'll give them more stuff to fight against, and I'll have a better chance. And then no, that backfired on me because I got smoked.
And now suddenly the computer was hard enough to challenge you
But
as well.
yeah, but it's one of those moments where it's like I'm a combination of like I am proud of my child, but also fuck you, you little shit. I'm so proud of you. Eat shit and die.
I was born in the COD lobbies, raised in their toxicity. You can't say anything that freaks me out.
Oh, I never really liked multiplayer games,
Fair enough.
and I don't
I
really.
was super excited when the Conduit came to the Wii because I didn't have an Xbox, so my online multiplayer shooter game got to be Conduit, which was a fucking fantastic game.
Okay, I don't know what Conduit is. I've never played it.
It is a first person shooter about a government conspiracy about Washington hiding aliens from the masses.
You know, I'm just gonna go ahead and say it. Um, Pretty much all first-person shooter multiplayer things are the same. It's the same thing
Hard,
with a different skin.
hard disagree. Only because I've played enough of them to know that there's a. So, like, do you know the term "time to kill"?
I have heard it.
So, in a first person shooter sense, time to kill is a measurement of how long it usually takes for you to either achieve a kill in a first person shooter or be killed in a first person shooter before you go and respawn. A game like Call of Duty has a notoriously low time to kill because the arenas are small and characters' health pools are like a shot to the head and you're gone. A game like Halo has a really long time to kill because of the shields and the fact that characters can jump around and be very, very floaty, and the arenas have a lot of areas that you can hide in them. Then you get to something like Battlefield with an obnoxiously high time to kill because the arenas are so massive. It may take you a very long time before you encounter a person on some maps. That alone, not even
So,
counting the different physics for
so
all of
they're
the different ways you could
it's
run.
all the same game with different size maps.
There's more factors in there though. Call of
Yeah,
Duty
how
health
many
system and
trees there
Halo
are.
Call of Duty health system and Halo health system are very different from one another. The physics for the characters are very different from one another.
Still
There was a
functionally the
whole
same. It's
There was a whole debacle in the Halo
it's the
community
same shit.
getting angry at 343 Studios for adding sprint to the game because Halo not having sprint or iron sights was part of its identity versus Call of Duty. Like, there's a lot of fundamental differences behind first person shooters. And
It's
if
the
you look at a first person
same
shooter,
shit.
if you look at a first person shooter like Halo and compare it to, say, Quake, like those have very different feels to how they run at all in their arenas. It's like saying
I've
all fighting games are the same when you play Mortal Kombat and Street Fighter back to back.
They are too.
No, they fucking aren't! Absolutely not!
They just have different combos.
No! No! The characters have a very stiff way of moving in Mortal Kombat that is super unique to Mortal Kombat, that does not feel anything like Tekken or Street Fighter or fucking Soul Calibur. Even with Soul Calibur, you could get into the differences between it and something like Tekken, despite the fact that they have 360 movement, but something like Mortal Kombat generally doesn't have 360 movement. Kinma says Rhino's trying to get beat up. No, Rhino is just showing, and this is not a moral failing on Rhino's part, though it might be if I wanted to pursue that. This is not a moral failing on Rhino's part. This is just Rhino not being very experienced with a lot of those games, and so the
I
ways that
played
they are
Quake.
different. Uh-huh. And do you think that
I
Quake
was
and Doom are the same?
yes.
How? How? In what fucking world? In what fucking
Quake's
world is the game with full 360-degree movement and the game that doesn't have a Z-axis the same fucking game? How?
well, yeah. This is okay.
How?
So the okay. So
Make it make sense to me. Make it make sense.
no, Quake and Doom are not the same thing. That was just me being a shit.
That was you taking the fucking piss.
But yeah, no.
What is the difference between a loadout shooter and an arsenal shooter, Rhino?
One you start with different weapons, but it's the same weapons all the time. Whereas an arsenal one is the one where you'd have to like go and collect them in the arena.
No.
Okay.
So the collect them in the arena.
Was that at least a
one-
good guess?
It's a good guess. You got loadout shooter right. Loadout shooter is the one where you have like
Duct
the
tape
different
Jake knows where it's at. Center screen
center
on enemy,
screen on
click
enemy
mouse.
click mouse. So yeah, loadout shooter is the one where you've got a pre-set up type of weapon set that you were holding. An arsenal shooter, though, is the one where you have usually a big wheel with about 15 to 16 weapons you can hold at the same time. Usually loadout shooters and the shooter that you're describing, because that's what Halo is. Both of those shooters, you usually are limited to 2 to 3 weapons, whereas an arsenal shooter usually doesn't limit you to how many weapons you can have. So, like, games like Quake, Ultra Kill, Turok, those are all arsenal shooters that have this huge variety of weapons you can use. Duke Nukem as well. Giant variety of weapons you can use instead of a handful at a time.
I miss GoldenEye.
I don't.
You were an odd job player, weren't you?
No, that's called cheating. So fun thing. So I didn't play GoldenEye a lot growing up, but GoldenEye's multiplayer system was actually grafted onto Banjo-Tooie. They put first-person shooter in that game, and they grafted Oddjob's skin onto the Jinjo. So they didn't even learn the lesson of maybe don't have this incredibly short character that ruins game balance. They were just like, nah, let's put an incredibly short character in there as well. We're reskinning everything anyway.
So I never really did the multiplayer in GoldenEye, but I unlocked all the cheats the old-fashioned way by beating the correct level in the correct time on the correct difficulty.
Mm-hmm.
By grinding over and over again until you could just do it with those shitty N64 controllers.
The N64 controller is the reason I don't want to go back to GoldenEye.
I had a fucking like permanent callus like on my thumb. I can actually still feel a little bump where the callus used to be.
Hmm.
Now that is not so much from GoldenEye. That's more from 1080 snowboarding.
Mine was a callus on the palm of my hand that I got from Mario Party
I 1080
because of the
snowboarding can do that as
rotating.
well. I didn't learn this technique, but like to do the spin, you put the palm of your hand and spin it
Yeah,
around. Yeah, I didn't learn that one, but I did manage to pull off a 1080 with my thumb, and yeah, it's permanently damaged. Oh,
I
is that
was the
your?
sad.
You want to show the chat since I was talking about it?
I still can't find my essence.
Okay, so we've got the dark crystal suncatcher with
Neat.
the Skeksis and the crystal, and this is going to be the essence container. She's going to paint this with sparkly, luminescent type paint sort of thing. So, yeah. So look out for her Etsy store at some point, in whenever she figures out how to ship these fucking things.
I'm just still sitting here seething in the shooter conversation. So I'm not even a shooter enthusiast, right? So like the reason I like Halo is because of the story. I adore the story of Halo. It's a really, really good one. The books are really good. That's the reason I enjoy Halo. I play the campaign exclusively. However, I've played enough multiplayer in enough shooters to know how like nightmarishly distinct they feel from one another. So I'm just like, that's like saying Super Metroid and Hollow Knight are the same game. They're not. Shut the fuck up.
I guess that's kind of my thing, is that when it comes to the multiplayer aspect of the shooters, when there's no story to speak of,
Mhm.
I just I don't know, it just doesn't do it for me. I just
I can
don't
understand.
really like it, and so anytime I've been in it, I haven't really been like figuring out which one I like better.
Like playing Call of Duty, like even just on the Wii, playing Call of Duty Modern Warfare versus playing the Conduit feel like super different games. Even though they have very similar control schemes, the Conduit has a lock-on system that gives you the distance from your person that you're looking at in meters. And that alone changes how that game plays drastically. I'm way more comfortable getting in melee combat in Conduit because I can lock on track people, and I can't do shit like that, or couldn't do shit like that in Call of Duty. I'm speaking like these lobbies still exist when they don't exist anymore because we kill games now, which is fantastic. I love video games being temporary things that die.
Mark Fernkoff wants to know about the Beaver game. It's Timberborn. It's a city builder game where you are beavers, and it just finally came out of early access.
Mac Forever says the mere fact that some people are good at some shooters and bad at others should be enough to show that they are not the same. You're right. You get a Quake Pro and you put them on Halo, they are not going to have the dexterity. Like it doesn't transfer over. Even the way that fucking early Quake, all weapons are hit scan. And hit scan weapons and real bullet weapons operate so fundamentally different from one another in shooters. The fact that Halo had mostly real bullet weapons and a game like Quake is almost all hit scan weapons adds a lot in how different those games play. And that's just fucking bullets. Yeah, hit scale versus projectile.
You can't fucking rocket jump in Halo.
Yes, you can.
Not in what we've played so far.
So we haven't gotten the rocket launcher yet, actually.
Uh huh.
But
Because you can't rocket jump without a rocket launcher.
yeah, the
So as
rocket
far as I
launcher's
can tell,
later.
there's no rocket launcher in this game.
Rocket launchers later in the story. So for the story, they slowly introduce weapons one on one. So you know how we did the sniper mission at night, where you get the snipers in the beginning and you try to get onto the spacecraft. We don't get the shotgun until the flood arrives, I believe, and I think we get the rocket launcher either right before or right after that as a weapon that goes in our arsenal. Sean says, no, they are not XCOM soldiers, actually have worst hit radius. Oh, you guys are talking about XCOM versus Mario and Rabbids. Yeah, sorry. Mario versus Rabbids, XCOM, and Fire Emblem are all the same video game, guys. Sorry, I'm just using Rhino's logic right now.
Fuck you.
Your anime waifu breeding simulator and your sci-fi military shooter. Same exact game, by the way.
Yeah. I agree with that.
Boring Sword says the gravity in both games is very different. Right. Halo, one of Halo's biggest things always has been the very floaty gravity. Whereas if I'm playing Quake, my character is weighty as fuck. And then if I play Call of Duty, my character is even more weighty as fuck.
Moving on.
Are we? Are we really?
We are moving on.
Okay.
I have grown bored of baiting you with this conversation, so we can move on now.
Ah, so you admit it was bait the whole time.
Mostly bait.
Oh, mostly. It was mostly baiting instead
Mostly
of
baiting.
masturbating.
Yes. I'm a master mostly baiter. Okay, next up, the Department of Justice suspends minimum experience requirements for hiring attorneys after staff purges.
Oh, yay. I'm so happy that we can get even more guys.
So remember
guys.
last week when we were all like, who's got better lawyers, Nintendo or the government of the United States of America?
Not
And
the government of the
we
United
were
States
both
of
like,
America, not
Nintendo?
anymore.
Yeah, this vindicates that.
Guys, there's a book that I think everybody should read, at least the first chapter of. You don't have to read the whole thing if you don't want to. You'll get the gist of it by the first chapter, but it's worth it. Go read Death of Expertise. I have it on my Audible list. It is, you can just do it as an audiobook if you really, really need, but like, it does go into this shit. It's infuriating.
Sorry, what was the name of the book?
Death of Expertise.
Death of Expertise. Okay. Yeah. No, that.
You kind of get what the book is about just by listening to the title.
I've heard that concept discussed numerous times. It is probably like the discussions I've heard have probably either been informed by that book or its sources, or they are themselves the source for that book. One of the sources. Anselin says, qualifications, did you pass the bar exam? Not even exaggerating. Yes, that's it. This was sent to me by my anonymous source. So staffing shortages at the Department of Justice, which have plagued the organization for the last year, have led officials to drop the minimum experience requirements for job openings to attract talent fresh out of law school. They used to have a 1-year experience requirement, which that seemed kind of short to me to begin with. But that is now being suspended due to an exigent hiring need for attorneys across the department.
You know,
AKA,
it's really telling that we have the same shortage right now for airline pilots, but they're not lowering the qualifications for airline pilots, despite the fact that Charlie Kirk assured me in no uncertain terms that if you were black, they lowered the requirements.
Oh, yeah. It's all these fucking mediocre white dudes complaining when a black person is better than them at something.
Yay. Lenari says, why did the bot not like the author's name, Tom Nichols? I don't know. That was weird. It censored Tom Nichols' name. Okay. Sorry, you don't get to see the Death of Expertise. Sorry. We censor that now.
So, since Trump began his second term, roughly 5,000 employees have left God damn it. Fuck. 5,000 employees have left the DOJ. And that's either voluntarily or being fired. So this would include all the people that like resign and protest and stuff. And if you'll recall when that was happening, well, I mean, it's still happening, but like when we covered it before.
You saw that the counterterrorism head resigned as well, and Caroline Leavitt like got on his fucking case about it, right?
I saw something about that. I didn't really read into it, so I'm not familiar with that one entirely.
This timeline is so fucked, man.
But yeah, if you'll recall when we covered this before, one of the questions that comes up is like, well, what is this actually accomplishing? Because they'll just replace them with someone that will do the thing. Well, the thing is, especially when it comes to lawyers, most lawyers aren't going to do illegal shit. So you need to get either a bad lawyer that doesn't realize it's illegal, or a really unscrupulous lawyer who will do the illegal thing and try their best to hide that it's illegal.
But if you were trying to hide that it was illegal, you're going to need a good lawyer.
God damn it. He's going to have to start paying us royalties if you keep that up.
It's It is the perfect time for that, though.
I know, but you say it all the damn time.
I know, but you keep giving me the absolute best openings for it.
Now we just need to figure out how to work Ground News into it, and maybe they'll sponsor me again.
And
If we can do it naturally enough, they'll sponsor me again.
With as much as I actually use Ground News for my fucking job, I should actually go try to get a sponsorship from them.
Yeah, well, maybe you will find it to be different, but I found them to be too difficult to work with.
We shall see.
Yeah. So in August, Janine Pirro, better known as a Fox News wine mom, which she's the one that you never remember who she is, but then if you hear a clip of her voice, you'll be like, oh yeah, her, she's always drunk.
I think we've had this conversation before where I didn't remember who it was.
We have.
And then you showed me a picture and I was like, oh yeah, that one.
That one.
Yeah, her.
Yeah, no, I remember that conversation, so that's why I'm preempting it.
Every time.
But yeah, so Judge Janine, who is the U.S. Attorney for the District of Columbia, appeared on Fox News, her former stomping grounds, to ask viewers with law degrees to apply to work in her office. So she's literally going on Fox News to beg viewers that might have a law degree to apply to work.
Please be a lawyer for me. Please, I need it very bad.
She says, I'm down 90 prosecutors, 60 investigators, and paralegals.
I wonder why.
Before looking directly into the camera and asking anyone who wanted a job in her office to contact her.
Hey, Google, what is brain drain? Please, no, please don't actually answer that. No. That was just a bit. Stop. Stop. No. No, fuck off. Fuck off. No, stop. Cease.
See, when you said that, I was like, now there's going to be people in the audience that get mad at us because you triggered their Googles.
No, I triggered my own Google and now I'm triggered.
Yeah, I can't even, like, my Google just doesn't work properly anymore, and I'm tired of trying to fix it. So I'm at the point where, like, I'm just going to unplug it and not use it anymore because I don't use it anymore. We've talked about this before. I set up Home Assistant, which is like an open source alternative to Google Assistant. It's a bit of a pain in the ass to set up, but once you have it going, it actually like just continues to do the things that you set up indefinitely. Whereas like Google, every time they got an update, suddenly half your automations don't work anymore. Like by the time I left the last house, they're like, I would say at least 70% of the automations that I had set up that was supposed to be just stuff that happens automatically just didn't work anymore. And it was too much of an issue to try and figure out what went wrong to fix it.
That's great.
So Home Assistant, so Fennec, the reason why I'm using Home Assistant is because it runs completely locally. I have it on a server running on RAID. And, like I said, it's a bit finicky to get set up, but if you have enough technical know-how to do it, like there are lots of guides and everything. But like once it's set up, it just kind of works. And also because it's running locally, you know how like you ask Google to turn on a smart light. There's always like a pause before it can actually do that.
Yeah, because it's having to communicate with the server.
Yeah. So with Home Assistant, I have so many automations are set up with my light switches. Like there's a smart switch out in the garage that can't reach the Wi-Fi, but it can connect to another smart switch. So I have it set up so that like when I turn on this other smart switch, then it will turn on that other smart switch. And it just does it automatic. And that's the one with the most delay because it's not connected to the Wi-Fi directly. And it still is like a second maybe.
It just works.
Yeah. And I have not had to go back in and fiddle with it. So yeah, ditch Google. They suck. But yeah, that's all. I just wanted to laugh at Judge Janine begging people on live TV to apply for jobs in her in her office.
It's very sad.
And then the last thing, this isn't really a news article, but it's a thing that I have referenced. This isn't the exact thing that I've referenced. I can't find the article that I've used in the past, but this was Beware the Christian fish on the business card. This is written by a Christian, this Mike Arnold guy, if you actually go to his LinkedIn page.
Oh, is this the one where he points out that like Christians cut corners and shit in the name of Jesus? So
No, that's what I usually reference. That one was actually written by a pastor who said that like when I'm hiring contractors to work in the church, I avoid the ones who advertise themselves as Christian. I couldn't find that article. It wasn't actually an article, it was a blog post, so it's probably just gone. But I found this as the close second. This guy was a missionary. He's not actually a pastor. But like Christian missionary is the first thing on his IMDb page. Not IMDb, LinkedIn. And he's so right in the first thing he says, I've learned the hard way never to do business with anyone who displays a Christian fish symbol on their business cards. Then he does a little bit of hedging about how I'm sure some of them are fine. I think he says, all the ones I've personally ever had the misfortune of dealing with have, without exception, ended up being liars and cheats.
that is very telling.
Yeah. And that's because the Christian fish is seen as by a lot of people. They see it as, if I stick this Christian fish on here, then people will think I'm a good Christian man who will do the good, like someone that goes to the same church as me. They're not going to shop around. They're going to just come to me because I'm in the church with them. So I can charge them more than I could get away with from other people. And like that sort of thing. Like I am in the in-group.
That's corrupt as fuck.
Yeah.
Why are you so greedy for money? Shouldn't the Lord provide?
Yeah, I take no thought for the morrow. Something. He takes good care of the birds, which, if you actually know anything about how life in the wild works, no, he doesn't. Like that.
God.
That line. What really made that line in the Bible go home for me was one year we had a bird's nest show up on our second floor window.
Mm-hmm.
And we were all excited. We were like, oh, it's right on the window. So like, we're not going to bother them. We'll leave the curtain shut most of the time, but like, we'll, peek in, check on them occasionally, see what's going on. One day the mother bird just left and never came back. I assume she died somehow. And then a squirrel ate the eggs. So like, yeah, the Lord takes care of the birds of the field.
Yeah,
So.
God was definitely taking care of them the whole time. Why are you so sad? Obviously, it was God's intention for the squirrels to do that.
It also wasn't a window that opened very easily, so like there was just the reminder of the dead birds sitting on our window for months.
Jesus, that's morbid.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like the dead bodies were there. It's just like some crushed up eggshells in a nest.
It's still morbid.
Yeah. But, yep, God takes care of the birds, so you don't need to think about the moral, because he'll take care of you, just like he does for the birds.
Yep.
But that's it for news, even though that's not really news. That's just a thing that it's an article that I reference sometimes that I found.
I mean, it's still interesting and useful, so I think it's fine.
Well, it's one of those things where I was beginning to think, because every now and then I will reference it again and be like, oh, I haven't actually seen that article in a while. I should like check to make sure it's still there, that I wasn't hallucinating or something. And then I can't find it. And I'm like, was I hallucinating? Oh, thank you for the hat duct tape, Jake. Oh, I'm going to have to go with the fucking octopus. I fucking hate this thing.
You're the one that put it there.
I know, it's a good hat. My big fucking head is too big for it.
Then get a new head.
I wish.
And surely we can get new body
to the
parts.
hydrate.
That should be fine, probably.
I'll just ask Peter Thiel. He's probably got some longevity researcher working on it for him.
I wish you weren't correct in that. That sounds correct enough for me to be concerned.
Shrink ray. I don't need a shrink ray. The octopus is already too small. I need a embiggening ray.
Embiggening?
Embiggening ray.
You need to be embiggened.
Yeah, a noble spirit embiggens the smallest man, or something like that. Anyway, moving on to the tweets. Bridget Gabriel says, if NATO will not support the United States, why should the United States support NATO? Same goes for the UN.
How does NATO not support us? It's there in case we get attacked.
Which country is the only country in the history of NATO to have invoked Article 5 again? Do you know? Do you know what
Not
Article
offhand.
5 is?
Nope.
Article 5 is the the part of the NATO treaty where it's like, if somebody attacks me, all of the NATO people will come and help.
Hmm.
Do you know what the only country to have invoked Article 5 is the United States. They invoked it after 9/11.
So wait, conservatives tell us all the time, don't forget 9/11. You forgot 9/11. You let the weird fucking socialist in.
Yeah. You remember how Canadian troops were dying in Afghanistan for America? You remember
God.
You remember that whole French thing, the Freedom Fries thing, because France did not send troops, even though they were in NATO? And everybody got all pissed off at that?
Is that why we had freedom fries?
That's why you had Freedom Fries. Because France did
'Cause-
not help after 9. I mean, they did help. They didn't help as much as they wanted. So, yeah, the Afghanistan War.
Fantastic.
The whole Afghanistan War was an invocation of NATO's Article 5. So, all the NATO people got into a forever war to save your asses. And that's the only time it's ever been invoked. But yeah, no. We're not
But if
supporting the
NATO's
United
not going to
States.
help us, then why should we help NATO?
Well, see, that's the thing, is that Article 5 works when you are attacked by another country, not when you do the attacking. Oh, France saying no was the Iraq War, I guess.
Details. So the Iraq War, Afghanistan, the War on Terror, the War in the Middle East.
That's all
I'm gonna
one
be honest,
thing in my head.
It's all one fucking war in my head. It's all just one extended.
Like they are
ordeal.
so closely related to each other in what caused them and all that. But yeah. So the United States is literally the only country that's ever been supported by NATO.
And yet,
Yeah. Okay, so this was a comment on the clip of this show. Oh, thanks for resubscribing, Duct Tape Jake. This was on a clip of the show where we talked about how Trump has had 3 assassination attempts against him, and all of them were Trump supporters.
mm-hmm.
And I don't know what this person was referring to. They say, as a 16-year-old Trump supporter, grow up.
As a what the fuck are you talking about? I'm gonna be the cringe adult that says, "Listen here, you dumbass little shit."
It gets better though, Cirrus. Because I'm pretty sure I found this person's sock account because there were only 2 people that told me to grow up on this video. And it was like within a couple hours of each other. So I'm pretty sure
Doritos
this is
must not get pedantic. Feel free to get pedantic. I'll ignore it because I don't care. The United States is one of the few nations that has only had a handful of years in its actual lifetime that it hasn't been at war with someone.
I don't know if it's the only one. But that definitely is a true fact about it.
Kinma says they aren't a Trump supporter because they can't vote.
You can still support.
You can
I would
support
consider
without
myself it made me sad she lost Katabu Ghazali.
Yeah,
I would consider myself a Katabu Ghazali supporter, even though I can't vote for her. I'm not even legally allowed to donate to her campaign. But I would still, like, if there was something I could do to get her elected, I would do it. Now, she did lose, but considering her circumstances, being like someone who came in out of nowhere, nobody had heard about her before this, and she got I think it was 20, she got over 25% of the vote, and the incumbent who won got like 29% of the vote. So she was close considering her circumstances. So like, yeah, it's depressing that she didn't win, but she did really well.
And she did a whole Twitter post about how this is the thing that anybody would say in the situation, but she did say, like, this will pave the way for the next person to do better than I did.
I hope she continues working on stuff like this.
Yeah.
Although my favorite was, that guy that got paid $1,500 to ship on her. I think it's the woke ginger or something like that.
Got paid to shit on, like, he
Yeah.
got paid $1,500 specifically
Yeah, APAC
to make content about her.
APAC paid him to make content about how she's bad or whatever.
APAC pays Congress people millions of dollars, and you took fucking 1,500.
Yeah, well, what was funny was that after she lost, he posted something about how, like, oh, well, it's for the best because, the politicians really should be from the community, because, like, she's kind of at the edge of the district and she's recently moved there or something.
Who fucking cares about where they are geographically?
Yeah, but his whole thing was like, oh, that we need people that have, like, been living in the town their whole lives and they know the school teachers and they, meet up for ice cream and stuff like that. I'm like, so you want all the politicians to be like background characters in Stranger Things season 1? Like that
I
that
don't
never
get it.
because Stranger Things season 1 was basically just nostalgia for a slice of Americana.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. But also it's funny because, like, he's been posting a lot about her. He's from St. Louis.
So he's got a lot of opinions about who should have influence in politics in the local area, but he's not from the local area.
Not even close.
What a fucking piece of shit.
Yeah. Anyway,
I
apparently I have
feel
a
like
hype
I
train.
should do content on this person. I feel like I should make fun of them.
Okay. Well, if you go, I did a little bit on my Blue Sky feed. So if you go to my Blue Sky feed, you'll be able to find them.
Gotcha.
Dale Partridge says, "Why eternal hell for rejecting Christ? Because the consequences are greater depending on who you sin against. For example, if a child pushes his little brother, he gets stern words from his parents. If he pushes a teacher at his school, he gets expelled. If he pushes a police officer, he gets arrested." So
you're saying God has the thinnest skin of them all? My God,
No.
your deity's a pussy.
So my thought here, though, is that how young of a child are we talking here? Because that actually does impact that quite a bit. Like, I have multiple children with behavioral issues, and there have been instances where an entire classroom had to be evacuated because of my child and what they were doing. And there was violence, and it was not pleasant. Not going to go into details, but, like, yeah.
Yeah, details aren't necessary.
They did not get expelled because I think that was senior kindergarten.
Yeah, because they expect that kids are going to have behavioral issues if they're very young.
Yeah. Well, they don't expect that necessarily, especially not to the degree that was seen. But what the fuck is senior kindergarten? So senior kindergarten is just that's how we in Canada kind of got earlier childcare for people. Essentially, is that you go to junior kindergarten the year before you would normally go to kindergarten, and then kindergarten is senior kindergarten, and then that's the year before grade 1. So it's just like an extra year of childcare essentially. We still have preschool, but you have to pay for preschool, whereas kindergarten is part of the public school system. But anyway, my point is, this child, like, if a 15-year-old had done the same things in their classroom, yes, the 15-year-old would have been expelled and maybe would have even been arrested. But because it was a, like, 6-year-old, there's some leniency there because they don't necessarily have the capacity to understand the consequences of their actions.
So how do you expect a whole bunch of mortals to understand the consequences of fucking with an immortal that's supposed to be like the strongest and bestest and most handsome and everything else? The
Yeah.
Mary Sue God,
Well,
specifically.
that's my point here, is that God is like, they will wax poetic about how God is like, we are to God as ants are to us, dude, even less than that. Like when you compare yourself to God, you don't even reach the level of ant. You're like, okay, so there is absolutely nothing I could possibly do to ever hurt this being, and I don't even have the capacity to understand what it would mean to hurt this being. Therefore, in the system that he's laid out here, we would give more leniency to the person that doesn't even have the capability of understanding what they're doing.
Yeah.
So God's a monster for throwing people in hell.
But you get Christians who just they love punishment.
Yeah, God
They love it
is
more than anything in the world.
God is the child with the magnifying glass frying the ants on the sidewalk.
It's a very dark matter coded observation.
Is that a thing that Dark Matter has done?
His whole Power Corrupt series, like that's basically how
haven't
Yahweh
watched
used that series.
Yeah, I haven't watched that whole series.
It's
Oh,
good.
that's such a dumb argument. We can't possibly harm it. Yeah, Rhino got it. Okay. $6.99 for Olivia Williams. Thank you for that. Remember,
Taco
Xena had
Senpai
better
says,
seasons
but you
and
might
she's
hurt
not
his
a god.
feelings. Yeah, you're right.
So Xena's
And?
not a god, but Lucy Lawless is a goddess. Lucy Lawless dunks on Kevin Sorbo occasionally on Twitter, so she will always be in my good books. I don't want to ever learn anything else about her life, lest that change. That's my policy. I don't learn
meet-
about
don't
learn about
meet your
celebrities.
heroes.
Don't learn about celebrities, and then you can never have a movie ruined because, like, I can't watch movies with Gwyneth Paltrow in them anymore because I'm like, oh, that's the person that wants you to stick an egg up your vagina.
That's the vagina candle lady to me.
The vagina candle lady. Yeah, she's also got a steam powered laser that you're supposed to do something with in your vagina. So, like, that's what I think of when I see Gwyneth Paltrow. So, like, I'm sorry, I am no longer in this movie. And
Yeah,
there are other actors that have similar things for me with that. So I'm like, oh nope. So I just don't want to learn anything about actors.
Nope, I get it.
Except for
I get
David
it.
Tennant. Everything I learn about David Tennant makes me love him more. He's amazing. Okay, so this one, I used a loophole to get out of taking my own screenshot here, because this is a screenshot that someone else took, but it's like I took a screenshot of their post of it, so it counts, right?
I see.
So apparently somebody said it's easy to tell which atheists have not actually studied the Bible. The easiest is when talking about the flood. I constantly see them say 2 of every animal, but that is incorrect. So here's the question. Why is it incorrect? It's incorrect because the Bible can't keep it straight. So there's a number of reasons. Do you have anything to say before I go on my rant?
No, feel free to go on your rant.
Okay, I'm gonna rant.
This is my childhood, and I was told 2 of every animal by the Christians who fucking raised me.
Sir. It's 2 of every kind. It's not 2 of every animal. And then, but there's also, because the flood story is an amalgamation of at least 2 separate stories, depending on where you're reading, it's 2 of every animal, except the clean animals, it's 7 pairs of those. And that also includes birds. Also, it's only the animals that have the breath of life in them. So the insects don't count. And somehow the whales don't count, even though they do have the breath of life in them. What's funny is that the way I've seen people try to get around that is that, like, oh, it says that have the breath of life in their nostrils, and whales don't have nostrils. And you're like, yes, they do. The thing on top of their head is their nostril. Like, morphologically, that is what that is.
Yeah, just because it doesn't look like human nostrils doesn't mean it's not still that.
Yeah. But, yeah, so the reason people get confused about this one is because the Bible itself is confused about this one, and there's several different answers depending on which verse you're reading and how literally you're taking it. So, yeah.
Fantastic.
Also, I would argue that the insects did have to be there because they do have the breath of life in them. Just because they
survive
breathe,
the flood anyway.
just because they breathe differently doesn't mean they don't have breath. They still breathe. It doesn't say that they have to breathe into a lung organ. It says they have the breath of life in them. But yeah,
I love pedantery. Biblical pedantery is the best.
I have fun with it every now and then.
Yeah. If the apologist is going to be pedantic with you, there is no reason for you not to be a pedantic asshole right back.
Yeah. I mean, I just like pointing out because the 7 pairs of clean animals and birds versus the 2 pairs of clean animals and birds, those actually do directly contradict, and it's like, as far as I can tell, there is no harmonization, and it's because it's 2 different accounts that got smushed together. But like, I don't know how, like, it says that there was 2 of each kind of bird, and then on the next page it says there's 7 of every kind of bird. Like, those are 2 different numbers. How is that not a contradiction?
Because the Bible is perfect and you're not reading it with the Spirit.
Indeed.
If you don't read it with the Spirit, then how can you possibly criticize it?
Because it's badly written.
But you're not reading it with the Spirit.
I
I fucking hate that shit.
I am still in the process of reading Lord of the Rings, so I have Tolkien fresh in my mind, and he is an amazing author, so anything else is subpar next to it. Like, I've also, my kids wanted to have a movie night with me the other day, and they wanted to watch The Hunger Games, so we watched The Hunger Games. And I'm like, I remember liking the book The Hunger Games, and I still have the audiobook of The Hunger Games, so I listened to the audiobook of The Hunger Games while I'm also in the middle of reading Lord of the Rings, and I'm like, oh, this is not very well written at all.
If you're... I disagree. I'm sorry.
I'm not saying that... So I'm not saying that it actually is not very well written at all. I'm just saying I'm in the middle of reading Lord of the Rings, so I'm comparing everything to Tolkien right now, and he was fucking awesome.
Yeah, that's dumb.
So, like, The Hunger Games had a different target audience. It's a different genre.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I get it. I know. But, like, it's not Tolkien.
Okay,
And it suffers from its proximity to Tolkien in my mind.
Okay. Otaku Senpai says the Silmarillion is the Elvish Bible.
Yeah, no, I'm not gonna say that all of his works were the best ever. You know what? That's actually a discussion in the Tolkien fan community. Is that Christopher Tolkien published a bunch of shit that was complete, but that Tolkien himself did not feel was good enough to publish.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's a lot of Tolkien fans that are like, he shouldn't have published this. But yeah, you're wrong.
But if it's there and it's part of the canon,
yeah, well,
that's something I need to actually do a video on. So, like, you know how the word canon specifically mostly comes from the council where the Bible was canonized.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like there's an aspect of latent Christianity in people's obsession with the idea of canon when it comes to stories.
Yeah, because ancient myths did not worry about that. They just mushed stuff together. And you can see it in the Bible. We were just talking about the flood story. They weren't worried about what is the actual number of animals that he had on the ark. Who fucking cares? We're just putting these stories together. Jassa says, hard disagree. All fan art is canon.
Fuck off.
And Marocat says the Battle of the Shire is good. Yes, that's actually the reason I'm reading them now, is because when they re-released the extended edition into theaters a few weeks ago to celebrate the 25th anniversary, and we went to see them, and I love the movies, but there's always there's the little things in the book that I'm like, okay, they skipped this or they did this different, and I like it better in the book. So, and like Captain Faramir is completely different in the book than in the movies. I much prefer book Faramir. I understand why they did what they did with him, but I like him better in the books. Same thing with the Scouring of the Shire. I understand why they skipped it. It already had way too many endings.
It's functionally a mini arc.
Yes.
In the end, it's an epilogue. More than anything, it's an epilogue.
I'm waiting for them to milk that and turn that into its own movie. Or probably a mini series TV show sort of thing. But yeah, no, but like after watching it, I was left wanting. I'm like, okay, well, I want to reread it so I can, get it, scratch that Faramir itch and read the Scouring of the Shire. I'm not there yet. I'm in Return of the King. I'm almost there. Sam has the ring right now. But yeah, and that's why I'm reading it. And now everything else that I'm coming across, I'm comparing to Tolkien, including poor Daniel Moritz, who is using ChatGPT to write a novel for him, and it is terrible.
He's using ChatGPT to write a novel? Why?
Because he has no skill.
But that's like admitting you have no skill.
Oh, he hasn't admitted that he's used ChatGPT to write it. He's just very free with his use of AI and other stuff.
So it's a pretty good guess.
And there's a lot of, like, I'm not going to say M dashes are a sure sign of using ChatGPT. Tolkien used M dashes, motherfucker. Like, that's actually something that I've noticed this time, is that, like, now that I know some of the rules of grammar better than I did last time I read it, like, he doesn't, like, technically you're not supposed to say towards. It's not towards, it's toward. Tolkien says towards all the fucking time. And he doesn't use M dashes a lot, but he does use them. And he uses them in the same way that I use them.
As filler?
No, as like it indicates like a pause, like it's like an aside within, like you could use, like, it's almost like a parenthetical, but not quite.
Okay.
I don't know. It's hard to explain, but I understand how he uses them because that's how I use them too. It just seemed, and isn't that what a semicolon is for? He uses semicolons too. There's a correct way to use semicolons, but sometimes you can use an M dash. And an M dash is good for when the like, it's apparent that you're coming back into what you went to before. So like another semicolon wouldn't really do it there. So if you do an M dash on either side of it, it works. Whatever. My point is, M dash doesn't guarantee ChatGPT, but there's a lot of stuff like he forgets about plot points. He gets distracted. Like there's a spot where like a dragon it seems to be attacking the main character. And then just out of nowhere, the main character's like, oh, I remember this lake with big red crabs in it. I will go head to that lake. And so for like a chapter and a half, I was sitting there like, when is he going to catch a red crab? What does that have to do with the dragon? Is it like such a big crab that he can use its carapace as a shield or something? Like, is he going to use its claws as a weapon? What does a crab have to do with the dragon? No, it just turns out he was hungry. And he knew that he was going to need to find food. So he went to the place where the red crabs are. It had nothing to do with the dragon. And that to me seems like
he just forgot a plot point completely.
Yeah, it's a ChatGPT. That plot point's gone now. And arguably that's what happened to Stranger Things season 5 as well. Because there was a lot of dropped plot lines there.
Anyway. I still haven't seen the final season yet, so I've not got an opinion.
It's meh.
It's meh.
It's like,
I mean, I assume
I'm
that
happy that I saw it for the closure. But if I ever rewatch Stranger Things, I'm not gonna do season 5.
Fair.
Yeah. Okay, moving on. Joey Manorino Says, if NATO won't serve the interest of the USA should not allow NATO to rely on us for their defense.
Again?
NATO has never relied on the USA for their defense. It has only ever been the other way around. NATO without America doesn't exist. Probably true. It's a racket created so that Europe can rely on Americans to defend them if they get into some deep shit. No, it's a reciprocal
But we're the
thing.
ones who've called on them.
It's a reciprocal thing. It goes both ways. Trump should be the president to pull us out of NATO and spend the money we waste on defending Europe right here at home in the form of tax cuts. It's cute that he thinks that someone in his income bracket would ever see a tax cut from that.
Yeah. Yeah. Also, just like, he's already kind of getting what he wants because Trump did that whole, like, let me go ahead and create the peace board or whatever the fuck it was.
Mm-hmm. And then the peace board went ahead and attacked Iran.
Yeah.
It's like, Israel was one of the countries that joined.
God. It's all fantastic. Everything. All of it. All the time.
We're in the best timeline.
Yup.
Joey again says, isn't it nice to not wake up every single day having a demented pedophile as the U.S. president?
But, wait.
So...
No. Wait. Hold on. But we do have a demented pedophile as the president. No.
I misread that at first, and I thought for a second that Joey had gone anti-Trump. I thought he was joining with Madge.
No.
But I'm like, no, he's just literally trying to say, no, Biden is actually all the bad things that Trump is.
I like how, despite a plethora of evidence in the Epstein files, Trump doesn't get called a pedophile here, but Biden gets called a pedophile. And you know why? Because there is a singular picture of him sniffing a girl's hair, apparently. That makes him the guaranteed
it was a video,
pedo.
and yes, it was creepy.
Yeah, that makes him the guaranteed pedophile.
I mean, I'm perfectly happy saying that him sniffing a little girl, well, just like a 15-year-old, but still, sniffing a child's hair. Creepy.
Yeah, sure.
I'm not going to defend that.
I
But,
just find it really weird.
There's a lot of evidence that Trump
is...
actually fucked children. And
I
that
just
is
find it
worse.
really weird that, like, the line for Biden is, here's this one thing that looks kind of sus. But the line for Trump can't be him saying he'd fuck his own daughter. The line for Trump can't be a 13-year-old girl bit his fucking dick. And, Congress people talking about that literally today.
Yeah.
On the fucking floor. Like, none of that can be evidence that Trump is a pedophile.
But we're the ones with Trump derangement syndrome, you see. Because, like, you can't actually look at the evidence. That's derangement syndrome. You have to ignore the evidence. That's the truth.
The party told you to ignore the evidence of your eyes.
Uh-huh. Why do you always compare things to 1984, Cyrus? That's so cringe.
Yeah, I know, right? It's almost like I've been conditioned to do this because there's a bunch of fucking conservatives who've been doing this the whole time. It's like the only thing they know to do is say, this is like 1984, that book I've never read.
Yeah. And now it is.
And now it is. And let me be clear, I also haven't read 1984.
I have. It's depressing.
I don't doubt it.
All of George Orwell's books are depressing. Because there was a call center I worked at where I had a lot of downtime in between calls, and we had access to a fairly unrestricted internet. And I found a repository of books that were in the public domain, and the works of George Orwell were there. So I started going through them. And then I stopped going through them after 3 of the books because I was like, this is sad. Every one of his books is depressing.
Yeah.
I did not
Dorita
like it.
says
The
if a
ending bummed me
video
out.
came out of Trump with an underage person, they would demand AI be banned.
Yeah, probably. Justice says the ending bummed me the fuck out. Yes, all of George Orwell's endings will bum you the fuck out.
Fucking
Which
Nick
one is it? Is it
Fuentes
Burmese
going
Days?
on record saying that he should just convert to being a liberal now because of all of this shit.
So Burmese Days. That that probably wins for most depressing ending from any of the George Orwell books I read, which, to be clear, are like 3. But still, very sad. And not sad in like a cathartic way, just sad in a like I just now feel empty inside kind of way.
It's got to be sad in the Donald Trump yells the word sad very loudly. It has to be sad in that way.
Well, that it's not sad in that way.
Sad.
Disappointed.
Thanks, K-Sorbs. You're a
Kevin
real...
Sorbo. Oh, good timing.
You're a real person. Oh, we haven't seen K-Sorbs here in a while.
Did you know that when Denmark cut the amount of welfare that asylum seekers received, the amount of asylum applicants went down by 71%?
Okay, and is that supposed to convince me that we should not give money to people who are poor and infirm and need it?
That is what that's supposed to. Well, I think what he's going for there is that they don't really need it. They just want the free money. The problem is, if you are seeking asylum, especially somewhere like Europe, where it's easy to get between countries there, like, if you have a choice, then, like, yeah, Denmark just cut how much money I'm going to have to live on, and it's going to be a lot harder to live there than in its next door neighbor that has better welfare system. So I'm going to go to the next door neighbor. So, like, it didn't actually stop the number of people that were in need of asylum. It just stopped how many Denmark was helping.
Yeah, that's
so
not
feel
the
like,
evidence that he thinks it is.
I feel like, yes, that is a true thing. That is a thing that happened. They cut their benefits roughly in half. And that is how much it went down by. I see that as a bad thing. I feel like helping people that need help is a good thing. And I thought
Kevin
that
Sorbo
Jesus
doesn't see
thought
it
that
that
as
way,
well.
though.
And Kevin says that he likes this Jesus guy. So
Now, Kevin is very, very much on the train of helping people is bad, actually, and we shouldn't do it.
yeah, empathy is a sin.
I think empathy is
it's
a
the 8th
new
deadly
age
sin.
word.
Empathy is the 8th deadly sin. Okay, Oliver Burdick says, breaking, Noah's Ark is literally just sitting there in Turkey and people still don't believe the Bible is true.
What?
Okay, first off,
That's news to me.
I actually take issue with his use of the word breaking, because this ark...
It can't be breaking if it's been there forever.
Well, I mean, it was... If they just found it, that could be breaking. But, like, this ark was found by Ron Wyatt in, like, the 1980s. That's not breaking. Like, you can see the pictures are comparing it to, like one is a recent picture and one is from when it was found in the 1980s or whatever. But also, like, people say it's a vague boat shape. I don't see a boat. Maybe I just have my mind in the gutter, but that's a pussy.
I think that is a mind in the gutter thing.
That is a vagina. It is not a boat. There's a little man in the boat at the top, but there's not a boat in and of itself.
A little man in the boat that's called the clitoris. I am told by various manosphere types it doesn't exist and it's a lie, but
yeah, well, it's right there in that picture.
who was it that had... I feel like it was a tweet that we went over at one point, but there was some fucking weird conservative that had this really loud post about how the female orgasm is a lie.
Oh no, I don't think it was a female orgasm as a lie. I think it was your woman won't respect you if you go down on her, because how can you respect someone who is dragging their face through your nether regions?
I mean, I remember that one, so this would have to be something separate then.
Okay. I don't know.
Lenari says, I think more than one man has tweeted that. A non-zero amount of men have tweeted that actually pleasuring their partner is cringe.
Yeah. Men kind of suck, don't they?
I mean, it depends. If
Okay.
they're gay
If
or,
shown to
they're
Roger, that mud fossil guy, I wonder what his pareidolia would declare it to be. I don't know who the mud fossil guy is. I'm not familiar with Roger. But I see a vagina. What do you see if you don't see a vagina?
Dorito says, "Did you know it's gay to eat pussy?" Yeah, a penis has been up there. Why would you want to eat pussy? Penises go up there. Ew. That's so gay.
I still want to know what you see here because apparently you don't see a vagina.
I
What do you think it looks like?
football.
I mean, maybe the one on the left.
The one on the left,
But the
yes.
one in the middle, like, you got some funky shaped footballs if it's a football.
Deflated football.
It's a Tom Brady football. Oh.
No, the one on the right is weird.
Well, the
but
one on the
it's
right's
like,
just the one in the middle with like a elevation map or some shit. But
man, why? Why are people the way they are? That is definitely Noah's Ark. Mm, mm.
yeah, it's
Also, going into the age of AI generated everything, I feel like any photo evidence anybody looks at now at all.
oh no, but
I,
no, these are real. I knew about this before the time of AI.
no. I'm
Like
saying going
I knew
forward.
that this arc was bullshit when I was a creationist who believed in the arc. Because here's the thing, you talk to creationist geologist John Baumgartner, he will tell you that that's just rock. It's just a rock formation.
Mm-hmm. Sometimes rock formations do weird things.
Like look like vaginas.
Also, yeah, like that's is he trying to say
Fennec
that
says bread.
it's buried there? Because I don't see any of the textures indicative of a boat.
I've never actually been clear on what it's supposed to be. Like I know they'll say that like if you go there they found wooden beams and they found like nuts and bolts and stuff. And like they show pictures of things that do look vaguely like those things, but if you talk to John Baumgartner, who I will remind you is a creationist, he will tell you like, yeah, no, we took it back to the lab. They're just rocks. They just looked like those things, but they're just rocks.
Mm.
And like he wanted it to be true. He's a creationist. Like, yeah, I'd love to find Noah's Ark, but this ain't it. Yeah,
Reminded of there's a
nuts and bolts in Noah's
creationist book
time. Yeah, no,
that
that's
I read.
one of the reasons.
Said
It
nuts
doesn't.
and bolts Noah's time. I mean, I guess rivets and nails,
Whatever.
maybe closer, but
Sure,
still.
something like that.
Um,
Metal fasteners of some kind.
I remember my pastor recommending me read the book Leviathan. Have you ever read that?
No.
So it's in a similar vein to this. It's about a Christian archaeologist that hears about this like world-ending like catastrophic thing, and it's the Leviathan from the Bible, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And he goes on this like expedition journey to go find it. I don't remember anything about the book. I just remembered that it was a thing. And this reminded me of that. Just random Christians going, let me see if I can find the thing that proves my entire religion.
Yeah. Kitsune Cavalier sees it as a sailor's hat. That I can see. I can see that. Like one of the not the tricorn, but from the same era where it's like two out this way with a little lump in the middle. Yeah, I can see that. Okay. This was an ad or some shit. Like it was a promoted tweet. I don't follow this guy. I don't know who this guy is, but I thought it was kind of funny. He says there's a car in China can open its doors without touching, but it seems like people aren't ready for that yet. And this video was a bunch of people trying to do the hand gesture that opens the door and failing.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just over here like, but why though?
Yeah, why do you need that?
Like if it's a handle that just physically undoes a latch, then I can just pull on the handle and it's going to open every time. If I have to do a hand gesture, Like it's like my car has a thing where if I'm standing behind it with the keys in my pocket, if I stand there for long enough, it'll automatically open the trunk. And it's something like 5 seconds. So it's like, it feels like a long time while you're waiting it, but it's actually not that long of a time. I never use that feature. I always just push the button because it's a button that just does the thing and it works every time. And I have played around with the automatic thing, and like sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes it does it when I don't want it to do it. But the button just does what I want it to do every time. So why would you want anything but that?
Yeah, it's also why, like, so is it all EVs basically that have the recessed handle that pops out?
That's not all of them, but they are
'Cause
they are more common on EVs than like mine has that. And
I don't understand
I don't
the appeal. I have an EV and I don't understand the appeal.
So from a looks perspective, it does look a little sleeker. But I will take the fireman can get me out of the car in an emergency over sleek.
Yeah, like I just
Now, to be clear, my car, it is still a physical latch. It's not as bad as the Teslas where it's like in order to physically unlatch the door, you have to like unscrew a panel in the bottom and fiddle around in there to find it or whatever. Like no, it's still a physical, like I pull on it and it undoes the latch. But I if I could change one thing about the car, it probably would be the handles. Actually no, it would be the rear wiper. There is no rear wiper and it needs it.
Dorita says it's for fuel efficiency.
Not no.
You get like 1% better efficiency
no,
off
not even
of that. I'm
not
sorry.
even. Like the having more aerodynamically appropriate what are they called? Hubcaps. Having more aerodynamic hubcaps gets you like a 2% boost. And 2% is actually significant enough that it's worth it. But like the amount that the handles are going to give, like no, I do not believe that it's even measurable.
You said it was a joke. I said miles per gallon. Right, but I'm so used to seeing miles per gallon, even though I have an EV. That's just what my brain defaults to anyway.
And Sean Helfin says mine is real buttons instead of a screen. Yeah, my car is a mixture of real buttons and screen, and I definitely. So there are some buttons that are actually like physical buttons. There are other buttons that are capacitive touch buttons. I wish
Also,
they
apparently
would.
I got
wish
a
they were just
donation.
real buttons.
I didn't see the donation when it happened, but it was for, and this is a generous amount, but also fuck you. It was for 6767. God, that hurts.
Have you not heard that saying 6-7 summons demons?
What?
That was in the video I was telling you about of the lady who had I don't remember if this was on stream or not, but the Cult of the Lamb knockoff AI companion thing. Yeah, that was one of the TikToks that she found. There was a Christian lady talking about how 6-7 summons demons because in Hebrew 6 is this word and 7 is that word, and the hand motions are like a dance, and the 6-7 is like a song, and so you're doing a song and dance to summon the demons.
Okay,
some bullshit like that. It was so
trying so hard.
I feel like, and so this is not my idea. This came from the person whose video I saw it in, who I didn't realize I was going to talk about her so much in this, or I would have made a note of it so I could tell you all. But she thought that maybe she's just tired of hearing her kid say 6-7 all the damn time. It's like, you know what, kid? It's demonic. You're not allowed to do it anymore because it summons demons. Do you want to summon a demon? No? Didn't think so. Stop saying it.
Fucking hell.
Like,
okay, so
honestly, I can see the appeal of that.
I just say, fuck it, sure, I'll summon a demon. What's the worst it's gonna do to me? It's not gonna do anything worse than, like, the fucking country is already doing in general.
I use reverse psychology.
It may even be an improvement.
So I use reverse psychology. My kids almost never do the 6-7 thing anymore because
Mhm.
I started doing the 6-7 thing.
Yeah, you've made
So
it not cool
when
anymore.
dad does it, it's not cool. So yeah, and when I do it, they roll their eyes. I mean, oh, Papa. It's like, yeah, that's how it feels every time you do it.
Oh my god, 6-7.
Are you talking about
Aw.
brook sharks? Maybe, I don't know. It was a channel that I have not seen before, and I'm bad at remembering things.
Said using
was
the
a
slang
good
wrong
video,
is
though.
so effective.
Ooh.
I mean, again, I'll say the same thing I've said before about this.
And got so far. In the end, doesn't even matter. Sorry, that's a song from when I was a teenager.
I
so
also like Linkin Park's Hybrid Theory album. I think it is pretty swell. Hot diggity, my dog.
Oh, good lord.
But I will say, just like I've said before, 6-7 is just this generation's version of the game. It's no different, and it serves the exact same purpose. If you are in the in-group,
My kids do both.
you know how to respond, and if you're not in the in-group, you don't respond correctly. And it serves the same function.
My kids do both, and I annoy them with the game as well. Because whenever they start losing the game, I just pipe up and be like, well, I just won the game. And they hate it.
How do you do, fellow kids?
Oh, okay. Next up, the transformed wife says, my body
Oh my
count...
god, she's not dead yet?
No, and her body count is 1. No regrets. To which this person responded, one of the greatest honors you can give your spouse and your children.
Actually, I think somebody having been with a lot of other people, and out of all of the people that they could have selected, they chose you and decided to stay with you. I think that says just as much, if not more.
Yes. I agree. My focus here, though, was how in the ever-loving fuck does how many people you've slept with count as a gift to your children?
I guess because then they don't have half brothers and sisters. It would be the logic. I don't agree with it, but that's the best I could get.
But okay, what about my scenario? Because I used to have a body count of 1, and I had children in that scenario.
Mm-hmm.
But now they have not half, step. They have step siblings.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm with someone who has a larger body count than me, I think, probably. I've never actually asked her what the number is. Because I don't fucking care.
I just assume that most women have higher body counts than men because it's easier for women to get men on their tail than it is for men to get women on their tail. And that's just a part of reality I don't give a shit about.
Yeah, no.
It doesn't matter.
No, it doesn't matter in the slightest. She probably learned some things that I like from people that are not me. I'd rather she know how to do things that I like.
I actually had that experience where there was a person that I dated, and then things didn't work out, and then several years later we dated again, and they didn't work out. But within those years that we weren't dating, I promise you something happened because the sex got way better the second time around.
Yeah, I don't know in what world my kids would care about how many people I slept with. It's
Dad, are you a
it's not
stud
something-
muffin,
it's
or are
not
you one
something-
step left of a virgin?
it's not a thing that they want to know. It's not a thing that I want to share with them, and it's not a thing that is going to be relevant to their lives in any way, shape, or form whatsoever. So I just want to know who is thinking like, oh, how many people have I fucked? My kids are going to really be impacted by that. What? Why is that what you think of there? Is my question. But anyway.
Talk to somebody says my body count is only more than 1 if I can count myself. I have fucked myself. You're right. There we go. I did exactly what half the YouTube commenters who are angry at me said. I did go fuck myself.
while we were streaming, you were very quiet.
No.
You were very quiet. Anyway, she was the last tweet.
Oh, sweet. Lori was done. Man, why do I remember her name, but I can't remember important things? Lori Alexander, right?
Yeah, Lori Alexander. You can remember that, but not Janine Pirro.
Why can I remember that?
So that's the thing. I always forget that her name is Lori Alexander until somebody says it in the chat. Like, somebody did say that in the chat. Yeah, Jassa said, "Go away, Lori," when she came up. I was like, oh yeah, her name is Lori. So I'm like, she's the transformed wife. I save her screenshots as trans 1, and if I have more than one, is it trans 1, trans 2, whatever? Because I think that would be funny, because she's the transformed wife, and she would hate that I'm associating her with trans.
She doesn't like biological men invading her spaces.
But then every time she comes up, somebody's like, oh, it's Lori. I'm like, oh, right. Her name is Lori. And then I say Janine Pirro, and you're like, who? It's like someone who is statistically way more important than Lori Alexander.
Yeah, I don't know why my brain remembers the things that it does.
Yeah.
But I do have my diagnoses of depression and anxiety now to explain certain parts of my life.
Yeah.
I still want to seek an ADHD diagnosis, but I am told that's outside of what my insurance covers right now, so that ain't happening yet.
Yeah, diagnostic shit's expensive. Like, even in Canada, if I wanted to go get like a full analysis diagnosis type thing, it's like $3,000.
Jesus. Although,
now
I will say
that like covers everything. Like, that's like a 4-hour appointment where you're in there like answering all of the fucking questionnaires and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And they actually like talk to you to get to know you a little bit, to like see the side of you that won't necessarily be reflected in the questionnaires and whatnot. So like I get why it's expensive, but like I feel like that should be covered.
It's kind of an essential part of medical care.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're just throwing medications at a guess.
Mm-hmm. Anyway, all right. We done.
Yay!
Are you streaming after this?
No.
Okay. I will either raid someone else who is streaming, or I will raid no one. You will find out by whether or not I raid. Thanks for joining me, and as always, fuck off.